Hey YouTube, what's going on? The Handyman Zone here. This video today we're going to be discussing your cesspool or septic system and how you can do some preventative maintenance to keep it operating smoothly. Because let's face it, we all know what goes into the sewers and the cesspools in the septic system. It's a bunch of wastewater from the house. It's like laundry water, it's like dishwash water, it's like shower water, and then it's like toilet water, which is full of like all kinds of evil stuff. Now the main problem that happens with cesspools and septic systems, and is the big problem, is the grease. And the grease can come from like residue from the laundry soap, it can come from the kitchen sink, it can come out of your digestive system, and over the years it builds up and it cakes up inside your septic tank or your leach field, and it prevents the water from getting out and draining into the soil. Now your tank is filling up, it's backing up in the basement toilet, it's backing up in the basement sink, and you got to call this, what we call the honeysucker here on Long Island. You got to call the honeysucker. It's that big cesspool truck with the hose on the back. You know, when they open that tank, it stinks, and then they give you a bill for like $6.50 for pumping out 1,000 gallons. And 3 months later, you got the same problem because you still got the grease in the tank and it's still not draining. So it's just a matter of time before it fills up. So let me tell you, I live in a neighborhood in Long Island. There's like almost all cesspools and septic systems on Long Island. There's a couple of villages, they got sewage treatment plants and people are hooked up to it. But most of Long Island, people got a cesspool or they got a leach field or a septic system. So I got a cesspool 25 years. And I've been doing this little trick every 3 months for the last 25 years. Well, not exactly 3 months, but whenever I remember it, whenever it pops into my head. For the last 25 years, and I've never, ever, never had my tank pumped. My neighbors, I see trucks all the time, across the street, next door, around the block. In the neighborhood, all the time, these honeysuckers are driving around, just sucking out the honey and collecting the money. So we're going to teach you how to do a little preventative maintenance. And the way this works is with yeast, and I have here some active dry yeast. I buy like the 2-pound bag at the supermarket or like one of those super centers. You could use active dry yeast, you could use like live yeast if you have it available to you, like they would use in a bakery or something, like a cake of yeast. But anyway, this stuff is like granules, it's like sand. But we got to make it alive, because the whole thing is we want this yeast to come alive. It's all like a million bacteria and they eat. So we're going to bring it to life by putting it in some warm water, some lukewarm water, tepid water with sugar. There's sugar in the water, and then the yeast hits the water and it comes alive. We let it sit like 15 minutes and we pour it down the drain. Now, I got some white sugar here. It's refined white sugar. You could use this. I got like a half of this cup full. But also, because I just want to stress, it doesn't have to be sugar. It could be anything with sugar in it. So if you got like some old applesauce in the fridge, or you got some old syrup in the fridge, or like even some old ketchup has a lot of sugar or corn syrup in it, soda, flat soda, you could use flat soda. Anything that's got a sugar content in it, you could put in the bucket. So like we had some mandarin oranges the other night from a can after dinner. And there's like a couple of pieces left. And I'm just going to finish them. They're sweet. Nice mandarin oranges. I wonder if they come from Mandoria. And the juice has sugar in it. So we're going to use that also. Just let me finish this last couple of pieces. If my kids were here, they'd be like drinking this juice. But for demonstration purposes, because it's a high sugar content. And by the way, that's the way a man eats his mandarin oranges, off a knife. Okay, so this is some sugary, juicy water. Now let me see how we're going to set this camera shot up. Edit. Alright, here we go. So I got this bucket, this reclaimed bucket, because we never throw anything out. This reclaimed bucket, and I got it filled up to about here with lukewarm water. I'm going to take that juice that we talked about, that mandarin orange juice, and here we go. We're going to rinse it out. We want to get every little bit. Now, I'm going to take this refined sugar, and dump that in there. And I'm gonna, I happen to have a whisk in my pocket, so we're just gonna get this sugar into solution. And now we take the active dry yeast. We take the active dry yeast, and we're going to sprinkle it on the top, and we're also gonna get that going in the water. You don't want to stir up the active dry yeast too much because we don't want to like kill the little yeasty beasties, but we want to get them. Already I see bubbles in my mixture. It's been about 30 seconds. And bubbles are good because that means the yeast is coming to life. And the yeast eats the sugar and it turns it into carbon dioxide or something, carbon something. So what we want is this yeast mixture is going to go into our septic system. And don't forget to thumbs up and sub. Because when you thumbs up, which is like right down here, when you thumbs up and you sub, what it does is it knocks me up in the ranking in the YouTube search engine. So when other people are having problems and they put a problem in the search engine, I'll come up instead of some other fool. And you know I'm able to help people, and I'll just spread the word around that I'm here to help. In the meantime, what the hell, we're going to try this stuff here. Oh, not yet. Okay. Oh, that tastes bad. So we've just mixed up the yeast with the sugary solution of warm water, and it actually comes alive. It's like billions and billions of bacteria, and they're actually multiplying and coming to life and getting bigger, and they're eating the sugar. So what we're going to do is pour it in the septic system, and then it's going to get down there, and instead of eating sugar, it's going to like eat some of the solids in there and digest them. It's going to attack the grease down there and digest it. And just your cesspool in itself is like a big rotting mass of like biological material. And this is just going to dump on top of it and make it even more active. So there's all kinds of bacteria down there already. It's like a whole ecosystem down there. And this stuff is going to get in there and just boost it. And we want it to like eat all the grease and digest it and break it down. We want it to like break down the solids, and we want it to like just basically help everything down there become even a more active ecosystem, a little microsystem down there, and just be a big digester, and hopefully it dissolve all the grease, and hopefully attack some of the solids down there, and hopefully to help you from having to call the honeysucker guy and give him all your money. Because let's face it, who wants a 3 times a year? Some people are having the truck come 4 times a year. That's like a couple of $1,000 to suck wastewater away from your house. If you could do some preventative maintenance and keep that from happening, it's just all the better. It's more money for you, more money in your pocket, more money for your family instead of the cesspool truck guy's family. All right, so it's in there. We're going to let it sit about 10 minutes. Now I could smell it, I could see it, it's bubbling, it's moving around, I could smell it. It smells like a bakery in the morning. It smells like a beer brewery. It smells like life, like that primordial essence of the beginnings of the sparks of life in the world. The microscopic or single-celled organisms active and alive and doing what they do. So we're going to let it sit about 10 minutes, and then we're simply going to pour it down the drain. We could pour it in the toilet. We could pour it in the basement shower. We could pour it in the kitchen sink. I'm going to pour it in the slop sink here. Either way, it's going to get to that septic tank, and when it gets in there and it hits that stuff, it's going to be a whole bunch of more food for this stuff. It's going to be grease and solids and all kinds of stuff that it's going to attack. Soap residue, disgusting, unspeakable things in that. I'll just say it, shit. I said it, crap. It's full of fucking crap. This cesspool is a dark, dank, stinky, alien environment. It's full of methane gas. It's dark. It's sealed. It's bubbling alive. A human being couldn't last 2 or 3 breaths down there, and you're going to be unconscious from the methane gas. It's a bad, evil place. And we're going to put these billions of little bacteria in that bad, evil place, and I bet you they're going to like it better than any of us would like it. So we're going to let it sit about 10 minutes. We're going to put it down there. Every 3-4 months, when you remember, keep the active dry yeast around. This is the package. I don't want to show the name because no one's paying me for this. I'm doing this for you guys, the average YouTube user. So I'm going to take it upstairs. I'm going to put it in like a plastic container, like a reclaimed Chinese food soup thing. And I'm going to stick it in the back of the fridge. As long as it's refrigerated. Once it's open, if it's refrigerated, it's going to last a couple of years maybe. But actually, I would probably use this amount in maybe a year and a half, 2 years in these treatments. Now, and I'm telling you, 25 years, and I've never had a hint of a cesspool problem. Even when we got company sleeping over for like a week or 2 weeks, like 2 extra people is 2 extra showers, and we've never had a problem. Now, there's commercially available powders and liquids that enzymes. Now, an enzyme in a bacteria is different. This is bacteria. An enzyme is like a lifeless protein that acts as a catalyst for bacterial growth. So when you buy the commercial stuff, which by the way is a lot more expensive, when I just mix this up for maybe $2 or $3, and that includes the hot water, where you go buy like a single treatment of the enzyme, commercially available enzyme, Cesspool Septic treatment. It's like $9 to $15 for one treatment. So this is a lot cheaper. All right, so enzymes are like a catalyst for bacterial growth, where this is actually the bacteria that you want. So when you put that commercial enzyme stuff in, you're promoting the bacteria that's already in the cesspool to multiply and to attack the grease and the soap scum and the shit and the fucking crap that's in your goddamn cesspool. Whatever you poo out your ass and ends up down there. Where we're actually putting in actual bacteria right now. So it's even like a double bonus. It's like a bacterial bomb for your cesspool. So I've been letting this stuff sit for about 10 minutes. We don't want to let it sit too long because too long it's going to eat up all the sugar in the water and it's going to start dying off. If you don't put it in too soon, it's not going to flourish into its natural flora of the billions upon billions of creatures that we have growing in this bucket right now. So I'm going to take it over to the slop sink here, and I'm going to check that I'm still in the frame. So I've carried it over to the sink. Here we go, very simple, just pour it down the drain. That's it, it's heading right for the shit pot. I'm gonna rinse out my bucket to get the last little, there's probably just a million of them in that little rinse there. Million extra little bacteriums. And this is my car wash bucket, so I want to make sure I get it pretty good cleaned out, because I don't want any boom on my truck when I wash it. Alright, so there we go. Basement slop sink. Preventative maintenance for your septic, leach field, cesspool system. every 3 to 4 months whenever you remember. Keep the stuff in your fridge. It lasts a long time. And don't forget to sub, because it's constantly coming out, and the Handyman Zone is constantly coming out with new material. So don't forget to sub, and don't forget to thumbs up. It's right at the bottom. That thumbs up and sub is up there, because constantly coming out with homeowner tips and advice and actual how-to and fix-it stuff. And the Handyman Zone.